Alright, I'll just jump into it and say it right here. Ranged weapons are weird. You might think, what do you mean weird? It's literally just dealing damage from a distance. And to that I say, are you at a distance? And do you do damage? The thumbnail isn't a lie. I will tell you what the best ranged weapon is in Minecraft Dungeons, but I need a moment to explain what best actually means, because I'll be picking bows for different categories. I'm going to take a little to talk about what I mean with all this wacko speak, and you could skip to the time on screen, but I really think you should stick around to hear this. Let's start easy. The traditional damage dealer. The power bow. Not just the power bows, that's just the name of this category. This one's easy to explain. Deal as much damage as possible. Almost always, these will be bows instead of crossbows. If you didn't know, the two types of ranged weapons are bows and crossbows. Bows charge up, crossbows do not. The reason we use bows for the power bow category is because of the enchantment overcharge, which will give an 8 times damage multiplier to your bow. Add supercharge for a 40% boost, and whatever gets smacked will get smacked like 100 times over. And to share the smacking with other mobs, we'll add piercing and ricochet, which will give a 60% chance for the arrow to retarget to a new mob after smacking the first target, and a guarantee for the arrow to keep flying even when we don't trigger ricochet. Additionally, a related category is the offensive support bows, and these ones are the crossbows. Without overcharge, these do a lot less one-hit damage, but because you can fire off a quick one between melee swings, they can still be very valuable to your build. This next one might sound weird, but if you've played this game at the highest difficulty, you've probably seen this. The mini gong. I think the best way to phrase the importance of this category is by talking about the Gong of Weakening, which in my opinion is the best artifact in the game. The gong does two really helpful things. It doubles the damage afflicted mobs receive, and it halves the damage those afflicted mobs can do. If that second effect sounds similar, it's the same as the Weakening enchantment, one of the best enchants in the game. But wait, why are we talking about this? Weakening just goes on your melee. But here's the thing. Melee enchants are in high demand, and are usually focused on damage or healing. So where can we put the Weakening enchantment? Enter the mini gong bow, or should I say the crossbow. Crossbows are better here because you immediately fire the shot and then wait instead of waiting, then firing with the charge of a bow. This allows you to easily fire off weakening arrows which double your defense without interfering much with your attack rotation. In the same way the mini gong frees up an enchantment slot on your melee, the utility bow makes space on your armor. In short, the utility bow is a slightly worse mini gong because bows not crossbows, but they get the advantage of having one bow exclusive enchantment, cooldown shot. It lowers your artifact cooldown by 1.5 seconds after each charged shot, which, side note, should be every shot. That goes for every category. If you have a utility bow, you don't need cooldown on your armor, allowing you to finally have the goated Chilling, Snowball, Deathbarter, Deflect combo that would unlock invincibility. Side note, on the two support categories, you don't need a 263 bow because damage isn't as important. Plus, it helps you from hitting yourself with Deflect. Okay, those are my categories. And I'll say it before I get into it, this is my opinion. I'm just a guy who likes Google Sheets in a video game. I'm trying, okay? Also, not all my bows are perfect, so you'll see some janky editing. It's the power bows. The power bows are the best power bows. Surprised? Overcharged, supercharged, the whole shebang. And these clock in with the ability to one-shot an evoker, or a redstone golem that's been gonged. The elite power bow is minimally stronger than the saber wing, but the built-in power allows this bow to take second. The Winter's Touch does just under half as much as the power bows. Then why is it the best? Because 1/2 times 3 equals nuclear bomb, and because of multi-shot, which will reliably activate at least once per charged shot, you will have an extra 4 arrows, which if you get lucky, can kill a redstone golem without the gong more than 4 times over. That's if you trigger all 3. Even a low roll without a single multi-shot will do more than the elite power bow, and on average, the Winter's Touch can delete a redstone golem. Granted, this is considering all the arrows hit one target. But if you're fighting a boss, you're right there for your gong, and if the arrows spread out, you don't need to kill that poor zombie 3,554 times over anyways, that's a real number. Winter's Touch, by far the strongest power bow in the game, followed by the elite power bow, and then the saber wing, which, don't get me wrong, they're still great options and technically do more damage per arrow. Before I was gonna recommend the guardian bow, but if I compared them all, the guardian bow would look like the third dragon head in that one meme. So instead it falls down to the others list, but all of these work with the right enchantments. Funnily enough, multi-shot is the best bow enchant. which means weapons which can consistently proc it tend to be quite strong. Hence, the scatter crossbows. If you thought a max of 15 arrows was cool, try 25 on for size. The harp crossbow can do massive area damage, which will always be useful but really help when you have a low area weapon. If all 25 arrows proc, that's an evoker with the Gong of Weakening, down and out. On average, it'll only be one-shotting a tier 3 enchanted zombie, but that's still unbelievably good, because these arrows don't stop after taking down one target, and neither do any of the other ones on this list. If you get lucky with Ricochet and Multi-Shot, it'll be like you snapped your fingers and the entire screen dies. Additionally, if you've had enough of the many arrows gimmick and switch Chain Reaction for critical hit, then yeah, stuff will be dropping. I like Chain Reaction more though, just because more arrows equals more funny. The Lightning Harp crossbow is if you wanted both Chain Reaction and critical hit. Because of the built-in Ricochet, that freed up enchantment slot can be filled with the Unchosen enchantment from the Harp crossbow. In exchange, the Lightning Harp only shoots 3 arrows at a time instead of 5, but 3 is definitely enough. Another pretty good one is the Pride of the Piglins. While it looks like it ranks pretty low in damage, remember that this shoots 5 arrows, really quick in a burst, which I didn't put in the calculation because they technically are individual shots. Just like with the Lightning Harp, the built-in piercing opens space up for that Chain Reaction crit combo. A single shot can kill a gonged tier 3 zombie, which isn't much, yeah, but all 5 shots can almost deal with the full-on evoker. Practically, this one is incredibly useful. The last top tier damage supports are the exploding crossbows. These work a little differently because of the standard piercing ricochet. They don't actually work here, which allows for unenchanting to take center stage, doubling damage against the mobs you're probably using a damage support bow against. Actually, I don't really know what to put on these bows. They go slow and only shoot 1 at a time, so multi-shot isn't as good, but gambling allows for that one-shot evoker kill. I don't know about these. I just know they're not too shabby. Oh yeah, and they go boom, so that's good area damage. Here's my list of other decent damage supports. We'll come back to that Soul Hunter crossbow soon. These are more valuable than you think, especially if you're mainly a melee user. It allows you to get that extra enchant you were struggling to fit on your sword. So, let's go through the best mini gongs. And regardless of not caring about damage, yeah, the scatter crossbows win again. It's not that complicated. Swap Chain Reaction crit on the harp for weakening and go with Chain Reaction and weakening on the lightning. And in general, the minigong favors bows that can shoot a lot of arrows because that's what will allow for area weakening. If you want to hear more about these two, go back in the video, and even without the damaging enchants, these still hit incredibly hard. Okay, this list looks familiar. Same thing on the Pride of the Piglins as the scatter bows, weakening, multi-shot, Chain Reaction, ricochet, still does fine damage and boost your defense. Make a wild guess on why these are here. If you guessed because I really like Dynamo, you'll be completely wrong. I use full metal armor. But if you guessed fires multiple arrows, you'd be right on the money. Many arrows makes reliable multi-shot, which makes a giant area of effect. Technically, the Soul Hunter crossbow works just as well here, but let's save that one for later. These only shoot 1 arrow at a time. It's just that time becomes relative once you see how fast this fires. The butterfly crossbow is technically better because of the built-in bonus shot, but the number of arrows starts to get fuzzy with these, so it really doesn't matter too much. Same enchants as before, this is a good option if you don't like a shotgun of a bow. I personally do though, so I don't use these much. Love you too, but sorry. Yes, the dual crossbows are also good here, but quite frankly, literally any crossbow, even only with 1 arrow at a time, can be used like this. The ones I named though do the best job at this, so if you are an endgame wizard, this is what you should be going for. Don't use these two, look at that attack speed. I keep reading this in my script as utility belts. Whoops. Anyways, starting strong with the short bows. These are the best by far because these are the only bow in the game with a shorter charge time. This means cooldown shots can happen way easier, and the massive ammo pool allows you to fire off those arrows quick enough to keep your artifacts constantly available. The mechanical shortbow and purple storm are fantastic, but the love spell bow has something we need to talk about. Wild Rage. Wild Rage gives a chance for the hit mob to go into Wild Rage, where it attacks everything, including other mobs. Now, these guys will still end up targeting the player usually, but what this is important for is creepers. Now, creepers are jerks, but a Wild Rage one is still a jerk. Just a jerk to other mobs. It blows up in their face, dealing great damage as well as killing the creeper. This is a niche yet highly valuable enchantment, and you could replace it for Ricochet on any of the mini Gong bows or utility bows if you made that choice. The reason the Love Spell bow is great, it's because it has Wild Rage built in. Fantastic utility, 10 out of 10, no questions, and even without Wild Rage, the other short bows are great, and have enchantments which increase attack speed, which is honestly just as helpful. The Pink Scoundrel doesn't have a reduced charge because it's a trick bow, but it has two very useful built-ins, being Ricochet and Wild Rage. Ricochet is nice, especially since it's a compromise of the utility bows that no other bow needs to make. The reason is that Piercing is easier to aim and will always be consistent, so I think Piercing is better, but also the Ricochet is valuable, so either could be swapped. Regardless, this has normal utility bow enchant, and this helps out immensely. Now the fun part about this category is that any bow with these enchants can be used like this. This is a very easy yet helpful setup that can also be used at even non-Apocalypse plus 25 levels with mid-game gear. For example, you could take any bow with weakening, cooldown shot, and multi-shot, piercing, or ricochet and make it work. Very simple setup, but incredibly helpful at all levels. Yeah, you thought I was done? We forgot about the single best enchantment in the game. It is not multi-shot. It is Anima Conduit. Healing that can rival the unspeakable armor. This enchant can only be put on soul weapons though, so our pool for choices is incredibly shallow. Regardless, the choice is clear. The Soul Hunter Crossbow. Fires 3 shots, is a soul weapon. You probably could have guessed I like this one. Of course we slap on Anima Conduit, but even more importantly we add Soul Siphon, which gives a chance to gain souls after simply hitting a target. That means if we get low on health, we run, we shoot, we run until the souls catch up, and then we good. Oh wait, you may be asking. This only works as a support, because it can't have overcharge. And to that I say, what if the bows couldn't either? Now of course they could, but if you are running a soul build, there are really two artifacts you're packing. The Harvester, in which case do whatever you want with your bow, or the Torment Quiver. That's right, I finally figured out how this thing works. The Torment Quiver gives soul arrows which pass through walls and send mobs flying. It also does damage based on the artifact strength, not on the bow strength, which means you don't actually need a 263 bow. While the Torment damage is amplified by most ranged enchants, Overcharge does not affect Torment at all. Hello, welcome back to another episode of Gosh Dang It, I've learned something in editing. So I say right here that the Torment Quiver, Torment Quiver isn't affected by Overcharge. It is affected by Overcharge. I don't know why I didn't think it. I read it in the Minecraft wiki. And, okay, so I'm gonna play the rest of the video, like the rest of this section, because I've already edited it together. And I spent so long on this. But here's the information you need to know. Yes, it is affected. The damage of the Torment Quiver is affected kind of by the strength of the bow, it seems. You can see Power Bow did more than the Mechanical Short Bow. I still don't know how this Torment Quiver works. Gosh dang it! And also it's affected by Soul Focus, it's affected by Overcharge, it's affected by Power. I think it's affected by all the enchantments, but I'm not sure why and how it scales, because my 260 bow did the amount Torment Quiver said, but my 261 bow didn't, and it was Elite Power Bow, but they were both bows, they were both fully charged, but they're different types of bows. I don't know how this artifact works, just let me out of here. Which completely makes the bows significantly less useful compared to the crossbow, which shoots multiple arrows, and with multi-shot, can make a wall of pushback. Additionally, because Torment arrows hit multiple times, Soul Siphon activates even more. Additionally, because Torment arrows don't need piercing or ricochet, you have space for Anemic Conduit, Soul Siphon, multi-shot, and a last one of your choosing. I'd say weakening for more support, or critical hit for damage. In the end, these don't do much damage compared to the power bows, but the added utility of healing plus crowd control with the pushback makes this one a definite add to soul builds, and the non-Torment Quiver variant can go on non-soul builds too. Oh yeah, the other soul crossbows, they're easier to grind for? That's all I can say. That's good about them, they're not that great. I'm recording this part after the whole Torment issue, so I'm really tired. This took so long to edit, almost as long as the Melee video despite being half the length, and I hope you enjoyed the extra stuff I tried to add. Paradox, I'm gonna give you that armors video. I needed to finish this though because that will be a half armors, half builds sort of thing, and please give me some time, this one took it out of me. But thank you for watching. I'm gonna take a break and then make another podcasty video because I spent like 2,000 gold on rerolling enchantments to get good bow examples, so I'm gonna run a few ancient hunts. If you want to hear about armors, I'll probably be rambling about those in that video, so until then, see you later.